Hello, and welcome to Looking Up, A View from the Valley. My name is Marc Weissman, and thank you very, very much for watching. If you have any comments on the show, feel free to provide feedback, questions, or suggestions to lookingupvalley@gmail.com or check out our Facebook page and dedicated website. Thank you very much. Welcome to a very special edition of Looking Up, A View from the Valley. Today we're actually filming from Witek Park in Derby, right near the reservoir. And the reason we're here is because the name Witek actually came from Private First Class Frank Peter Witek, who was born and raised in Derby. And we have some gentlemen here, some of the veterans who served our country well, want to talk a little bit about what Frank Witek meant to the community. So first we're joined with Bernie Williamson.
Well, originally I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, in the western part of Pittsburgh, until I joined the Marines. And after I got out of the Marines, I had met a girl from Derby and ended up marrying her.
How did you guys meet, actually?
Actually, I was in Little Creek, Virginia on maneuvers, and she was at Virginia Beach.
Oh, really?
On vacation with some of her girlfriends.
Oh, yeah? That's right. Well, good for you guys that you were able to meet up. That's great. And then you came to Derby?
Yes, after we got married, we moved to Derby.
Okay.
Been here ever since. That was in 1958.
Wow. And how long were you married for?
52 years.
And it's Joan we're talking about, right?
Yes,
Joan
Joan,
Williamson.
right.
She was city clerk at one point?
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she served the city very well. Absolutely.
Sure
a lot
did.
of people in Derby knew her very well, including myself. So anyway, well, thank you again for coming today. And as far as Frank Witek goes and what he means to the community and to the veterans community, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, Frank Witek, as most people might know, is a Medal of Honor recipient. You don't win the Medal of Honor, you receive the Medal of Honor. Frank received it posthumously, which means he was killed in the line of duty.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the Second World War. He was a Marine, and that's what my connection with Frank P. Witek is. I didn't know Frank. I'm from a different era,
right.
But I know a Medal of Honor winner, and I know what it takes.
Can you give some examples?
Well, it does take action above and beyond the call of duty. In other words, in Frank's case, he exposed himself several times to Japanese fire to get his platoon out of a bad area, and in doing so, eventually Frank was shot himself and died. It's an honor bestowed upon people, and haven't been too many, considering the millions of men and women that have been in. Frank is one of a kind, and I'm so glad that Derby finally decided in 3 or 4 decades ago to honor him with this park and with this memorial here we have.
Absolutely, it's great, and we'll definitely take a look at the memorial itself. Some of the research I did, he was the 28th Medal of Honor winner, I believe it was. I'm not sure how many, if you know how many there have been in total.
Well, it goes back to almost the Revolutionary War. They gave a medal similar to that Washington did.
Oh, really?
To his troops. It had the same meanings it had today, but it went through the Civil War. The 28th might have been the 28th from Second World War. I'm not sure.
I see. Oh, good point. That's a good point. Now, who is it? The president who usually awards the Medal of Honor?
Well, it's awarded by a federal government official, quite naturally. In some cases, the president does award it, but in this case, he did not, because the president at that time was Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Right. And
it was awarded to his parents, to his mother, in Soldiers Field in Chicago, Illinois.
That's where the Bears play, right?
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, something like 50,000 people were there. Do you know there were other Medal of Honor award winners at that ceremony? As far as
that I couldn't tell you.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, that's obviously an important thing to do it in front of that many people.
Oh yes, that would do it right. It really would.
Exactly, that's right.
It would lend the credence to what the Medal of Honor actually means.
Right. Now you served in the
Yes,
Armed
I
Forces.
did.
Right? What did you do in the Armed Forces?
I was a Marine. I was a seagoing Marine, as they call them. I served aboard an aircraft carrier, the USS Bennington. And then after that, I went in the infantry, and that's how I ended up at Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
From Camp Lejeune, we went on maneuvers to Little Creek, and that
that
got me to Little Creek, and that got me to meet the Derby girl, and that got me to Derby.
There you go. How long did you serve?
Just 3 years.
Oh, okay.
3 years.
Now, were you drafted, or did you go?
No, I volunteered.
Wow,
I signed.
That's great. That's really good. Do you know if Frank Witek also volunteered, or was he? I was always wondering.
I would say that he volunteered. This was early in the war. They weren't drafting. The Marine Corps wasn't drafting.
Oh, I see.
The Army might have been drafting. The Navy might have been drafting, but I don't think the Marine Corps drafted that early in the war. That's strictly based on absolutely nothing that I know for sure.
I understand, just what you think is best.
Right, right.
Now, how are the Marines different from the Army and the Navy and the Air Force?
Well, the gentleman standing around me will probably hit me with a stick. But,
that's good.
But they serve another purpose. They are the shock troops. They were the shock troops of the Second World War.
Okay.
They were they would go in and establish the beachheads, what have you, and then the Army would come in and clean up. It was the Marine Corps' job to go in and make the initial landing.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, okay.
During the Second World War, I mean, and that's only one, but that was the biggest job they did.
Right.
Like they say, they served on ships, Marine detachments on ship. They had they have their own air wing. Mm-hmm. If you remember, Pappy Boyington was
sure.
an air wing commander during the Second World War. He was out in the island of Guam. I don't know the same time as Frank was there or not.
Right, right. But so it's interesting. So basically, you kind of get a little flavor of the Navy and of the Air Force when you serve for the Marines.
Oh, you sure do. I think I spent more time on a ship than some sailors have.
Wow,
so.
well,
I know I did. Spent more time than Mr. Waleski, who you're going to talk to, because he was an airplane man. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bernie. I appreciate you sharing it. And actually, that you mentioned Mr. Dan Waleski. Maybe we'll bring him up next. So
very good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, now we're joined by longtime Valley resident Dan Waleski, who's actually lived in Derby for most of his life. Correct?
Yeah.
And thank you for coming today, Dan. I appreciate it. And
my pleasure.
That's great. And we're talking about Private First Class Frank Witek. And when you hear that name, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What's most prominent?
Well, it was an old Derby family. There were two parts of the family. Frank Witek's family resided in Derby, of course,
right.
And for want of employment, they left the area, but the other part of the Witek family remained.
Oh, really?
I knew the Frank Witek's family for the short time they were here.
Okay.
They belonged to my St. Michael's Church, my parish.
Oh,
I went to St. Michael's School, and of course the family went there.
Right, exactly.
So we knew each other. But they were great folks, just wonderful,
terrific.
hard-working, sincere people.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
So did you know his parents fairly well at all?
Well, I knew them as I was a young fellow at the time. As a young fellow, casually you know them, you see them, you say hello to them. You see them in church and around town and so on.
Right.
And so they aren't intimate friends, but they're certainly well-known casual friends.
Yeah, sure, that's great.
And they were a fine family without a doubt.
Now, you served yourself in the armed forces, correct?
Yes. I was in naval aviation in World War II. I was in Air Wing 16. We flew B-24 patrol bombers. These are 4-engine aircraft, too large for an aircraft carrier. And we did convoy escort, anti-submarine warfare, and air-sea rescue.
Oh, wow. Now where was this?
This in the Atlantic.
Oh, okay.
And when the war was over, I'm happy to report that the Germans had only two of over 1,000 submarines in their fleet. When the war was over, they had only 2 operating submarines.
Oh, wow.
And the Italian Navy just didn't exist.
Wow,
so we were pretty busy, and we did a good job.
Yeah, that's good. You should be very proud of that. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Did you serve pretty much the entire war?
Most of the war, yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. And then after the war, came back to Derby?
Yes.
And what did you do after that at that point?
I went to college.
Oh, yeah, which college?
Finished my education.
What college did you go to?
Temple University.
Oh, to study what?
Study industrial management.
Oh, really? Okay. And did you end up working in that field?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes. Became a manufacturing engineer and and worked in that field. Yeah.
Terrific. That's great. Okay.
I had a background of apprentice tool and die making, so I was very familiar with manufacturing.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure in Derby that's going to be a good thing.
It worked out quite well.
Yeah, great.
I like to think I did the companies I worked for a good service. I worked for Westinghouse and General Electric and Sikorsky and so on.
Oh, wow. A lot of different companies. Now, you're retired now, correct?
Yes, yes.
How long have you been retired about?
Oh, I'm 88 years of age. I don't even want to think about when I was retired.
That's good. But let me tell you, for somebody who's retired, you've been very busy still in the city, right? You're very active. You go to meetings.
Well, my family has been very civic-minded, and we take an interest in the community.
Oh, yeah?
And we do whatever we can to be of assistance.
That's good. That's good. So,
and to participate.
Not unlike, Private First Class Witek. I mean, very active, very committed to his country, his community.
Designated me as an outstanding citizen in town last year.
Oh, wow.
Which I was very welcome. But I am active in several organizations, including the Board of Governors, the Veterans Memorial, and the Derby Historical Society.
Oh, excellent.
To mention a few, and of course in the Veterans Organization.
Right.
I'm a member, I should say, of the CWV hat that I'm wearing.
Okay.
And I'd like to say I'm also a member of AMVETS.
Oh, okay. What is? Oh, American Vets?
Yeah, American Veterans.
Okay.
And of course the American Legion, which is Legion here in Derby, and the Catholic War Veterans. I'm a charter member of that organization.
Okay. And you had some things you wanted to show us here?
Oh yes, yes. Well, the first thing I wanted to show you was Frank P. Witek's original dedication program. We had a large crowd. It was a very, very touching event, and the community was extremely proud to be able to memorialize he and this park by naming it after our Congressional Medal of Honor winner, Witek.
Were you involved in choosing that he was the one to be named after? Do you know how his name was decided?
Yes, there was a lot of us who attended an organization meeting to first of all to decide how we're going to name the park.
Right.
And we were certainly all in agreement and very enthusiastic about the fact of naming it after Frank P. Witek.
So, and now you have, it looks like now these monuments were rededicated, right, recently, about a couple of months ago, back in September?
The original dedication took place in May 29th, 1999. The rededication was just recently. That was held in September this past year. This was an extraordinary event. Our valley community recovered from the shock and embarrassment of our losses of parts of the memorial. We dug in our heels, and with determination and resolve, we again, with great respect and honor, restored our dignity by making right our honored monuments to our local heroes, an example of the great heritage of our community.
Wow, that's great. Okay. Did you write that?
Yeah.
That's fabulous, Mr. Waleski.
All veteran organizations were involved: American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Disabled American Veterans, the Catholic War Veterans, American Veterans, the Purple Heart Veterans, the Jewish War Veterans. We were very greatly assisted by the Valley Community Foundation, which was headed by Jamie Cohen. Also, a lot of fine residents of our area were involved. The Board of Governors of the Derby Veteran Memorial played a very important part. The valley here goes back to 1675. We've been known for our pre-revolutionary area Continental Minutemen. Here we had, Valley had a good large group of middlemen. Fighting broke out at Lexington and Concord.
Right.
A good many of these Minutemen from the valley rushed up to Lexington and Concord to be of assistance to the now Revolutionary War soldiers up there. We had, we're known for General David Humphreys, who was well known in the Revolutionary War and was an aide-de-camp to George Washington.
And that's who the Humphreys house, that was his house, correct?
Yes. We have also, we're known also for Commander Isaac Hull, who commanded the USS Constitution in the War of 1812, which was an extraordinary victory.
And actually, to that point, there was a stamp, right, that was recently reissued, or issued, a new stamp, right?
August 18th, Derby, for the first time in its history, was designated a city in which this stamp would be introduced to the country as a whole.
Wow.
And so we had a first day issue from Derby on August the 18th
Wow,
of this
that's
year.
terrific. That's terrific.
We're very proud of that. A large population of World War II veterans occurred here in Derby. Our industrious and civic-minded citizens have contributed a lot here. Frank Witek, of course, was born here in Derby, and many World War II residents served with distinction in World War II. So having this park in honor of Frank P. Witek is a continuation of a great many things that the Valley has contributed to our country, and we're extremely proud. And when we think of this park, we think of the great history that all this represents.
Absolutely, that's a really good
Witek.
point. That's right. It's not just about Frank Witek, it's about all the veterans who
That is
served in.
correct.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
really good. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you very much, Mr. Waleski. Appreciate it. I'm glad you
not
brought
at
all
all.
this stuff out, and look forward to seeing you again. So take care.
I appreciate your interest.
Yeah, no problem. All right, take care. Thank you. Well, now we're joined with Ray Gagne. Thank you again for coming today, Ray. Appreciate it. And where are you from originally?
Vermont,
Oh, really? What part of Vermont?
Huntington.
Okay. Is that good ski country up there?
Yeah.
Are you a skier at all?
No,
No, you try to stay on the ground.
no.
Right? So what brought you to the Valley?
My father used to work for Mrs. Kellogg.
Oh, real of Kellogg Museum, the Kellogg
the
Osborne
farm.
Dale.
The farm. Yeah.
Oh, there was a farm. See, I didn't even
Yeah,
know that. Wow,
yeah.
interesting. And what did he do for her?
Milk the cows.
Oh yeah,
Clean
That's
up
good.
the
cows.
barn. Whatever. Yeah.
Did
yeah.
you ever work on the farm as well?
We had a farm up in Vermont.
Okay.
22 cows. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were working on the farm there, then you
Sure.
came down here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. I hadn't heard that from somebody. So, so how old were you approximately when you moved to the Valley? Remember?
I think I was like 12 or 13
Okay,
years
so you were
old.
still a little kid. Okay, so
Yeah.
did you go? Which school did you go to in Derby?
I went to Fowler School, which is now the City Hall of Shelton,
Oh, okay,
and then I went to Corinth High School in Corinth, New York.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. How did you end up in New York for high school?
My father was up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then you went up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. And so as far as your connection with Frank Witek, or even just the veterans in general?
As far as the veterans, when I went into the Army in 1960, and then I got discharged in 63. About 20 years ago, I joined the American Legion, and about
okay.
6 years ago or so, I joined the VFW.
Oh, okay. Now, what's the difference between the American Legion and the VFW?
The VFW is Veterans of Foreign Wars,
Right.
and the American Legion is members of the military. You have to be in there in certain dates
Okay.
to qualify.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So Kennedy, right, was
Yes,
president? Oh,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Interesting. So, so what was your specific responsibilities when you were serving?
Well, we were stationed in Fulda, Germany, and we patrolled the communist border,
Okay. Oh,
and
really?
we were 7 air miles from the border.
Oh, really?
And that was during the Cold War, when the Kennedy had the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right.
We were on full alert, so I remember that very distinctly.
Yeah, I understand Kennedy was actually here in the Valley in Connecticut just before that happened. I was speaking
Oh,
with,
yes,
I was
sure,
speaking with Rob
sure.
Novak, and I was here when President George H.W. Bush was here in Ansonia.
Yeah.
But then he told me about the whole thing where Kennedy was here and basically kept the whole idea of the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was pending at that moment, pretty much from everybody.
Yes.
He walked around, kept the country happy and positive when, in fact, that was looming in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
So that's pretty interesting that you were serving around
Yep.
that time. Now, you have family in this area?
Yeah, my wife and my kids. I have four kids, 2 boys and two girls.
Okay. Are they now? What do they do? Are they grown? Are they in school?
Oh, they're all grown. Yeah, my oldest boy is 27 years in the Army,
Oh, really? He serves
and
too. Good.
yeah, and he's a recruiter. He was a recruiter here in Derby
Okay.
and New Haven. Now he was out in the state of Washington,
Okay.
and then he's in Pennsylvania now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's good for you. At least a little closer, right? You
Yeah.
can go
Oh,
see him.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. And so I guess from just not necessarily your own personal experience, but just from your understanding of what Private First Class Witek did for the town, and the fact that Derby took the time to name this park after him. I mean, when you hear the name Frank Witek, what do you think of?
Well, he's a brave man. You know, he gave his life for his country and to protect his comrades. Mm-hmm. So, as I say, I didn't know him, but I can definitely honor the man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you certainly, having served, can appreciate
yes,
what he did, certainly. So, well, thank you very much.
Yes,
I appreciate
sir.
it.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Have any comments on the show? Feel free to provide feedback, questions, or suggestions to lookingupvalley@gmail.com or check out our Facebook page and dedicated website. Thank you very much.